You're
Cool.
listening to the Jan Price Show, all about movies. And today, my guest is co-writer, director Philip Barantini, we're going to be talking about his a new film entitled Boiling Point. Welcome to the show, Philip.
Thank you so much for having me. It's a pleasure.
Thank you. The pleasure's all mine. This movie, oh my goodness, oh my goodness. There's so much to talk about in this film. First of all, the title of the film couldn't be better because there's so many levels of boiling points in this
Right.
movie. And it's the kind of movie that keeps you literally, well, first of all, it brings you right. Well, we're going to talk about what the film's all about, but it brings you right into, the restaurant. It's about a restaurant in the kitchen and all of that, but you just feel like you're there and you're feeling the tension and everything that's going on. So why don't you give the audience the synopsis of the film for us so they know what
So,
we're talking about.
okay, so the film is set over 1.5 hours in real time on the busiest night of the year. It's the last Friday before Christmas, when everybody finishes work, and it's the busiest night of the year in any restaurant or any hospitality, I think probably all over the world. So
Yes.
we are in London in a restaurant, and we follow various different characters, but the main character that we follow is Stephen Graham, who plays Andy Jones in the movie. And it's basically, we follow his downfall really in an hour and a half, and what he's going through. And we find out what he's going through in his life, in his personal life, and he's coming to the restaurant, and it's things are going wrong, not going as you would like, and it's about pressures of life, pressures of work, and sort of just I wanted to just throw the audience into this moment in time and then pull them back out again after an hour and a half. So the whole movie is shot in one continuous take. There's no cuts, and we follow this thing, and we dive into small little pockets of microcosms of other people's lives and other little things. Certain things are not resolved, but that's how life is, sometimes, especially if you're working in a restaurant in a busy service. You don't have time to rewind or cut forward or cut back or stop. So that's what I wanted to get across. And so the one take thing wasn't, I didn't want it to be a spectacle and look how clever we are type of way. It was more of to create a feeling of anxiety and stress about the feeling of what you do go through on those busy nights as a waiter or a waitress or a chef. So yeah, it's that sums it up, I guess, without giving too much away.
Exactly. You don't want to give too much away. But you achieved what you wanted to achieve in filming it the way you did. So what was the decision, and how did you make the decision to shoot it in one long shot? I mean, had you initially thought that was the best way to shoot it, or did that come around after a period of time that was the best way to shoot it?
Well, back in 2018, we made a short film of the same name, starring Stephen Graham again, and that was 20 minutes. And we decided to shoot that in one take because of the reasons I just mentioned. Was it was I wanted to create that sort of tension, but that was 20 minutes. That was easy. Well, easier.
Relatively.
Yeah. So when it came to we knew after the show it sort of came out, and we put it in various different festivals, and it it did incredibly well, and we was really surprised that people loved it and wanted to. And so we decided to do a feature, and initially we were like, we can't do a feature in one take, can we? And we were like, well, let's just think about how we could do it in a conventional way with cuts and how we wanted to set it over what period of time, and I just couldn't. Every time we were talking about different ways of doing it, I just couldn't. We kept going back to, yeah, but one take though. I like, it's been done before. We know it's been done before in various films like Victoria or Russian Ark,
Birdman.
Birdman. Yeah. Although that wasn't one take. That had hidden cuts in it.
Oh, okay.
So I was like, and I just sat up in bed one night and I was like, you know what? I'm going to give this a shot. Let's just go. So the first person I obviously needed to ask was my cinematographer, whether he'd be up for, doing it for that long and being able to hold the camera for that long. And then Stephen Graham, I was like, this is how we're thinking about doing it. What do you think? And he was like, man, you're so crazy. Let's do it. So yeah, it was just a no-brainer after that. And then once we found out that it actually was doable in terms of the technical side of it, it was just that excitement was just, yeah, it was, and then it was sort of infectious, and everybody was getting excited about it. And so, it was kind of it was almost a feeling of like, yeah, we've definitely made the right decision.
Well, you definitely
Yeah.
did. You definitely did it.
Oh,
I started to
thank
say,
you.
you're welcome. Yes, it brings us all into it. We're not just a
Right.
passive observer. We're like feeling a part of this movie by the way that you have shot it.
Right.
And that's, pretty amazing to be able to do that. You've got a great cast, a great cast.
Yeah.
We've mentioned Stephen Graham, but you've got many others. So let's talk about your cast and how you
Yeah.
cast every one of them in this film.
Well, the process was there was two ways we did it. So the first way was, in terms of the kitchen staff, any of the chefs, I said to Stephen, I'd like you to help me to cast these people, because, in reality, he's the head chef of this restaurant. He would have employed every single member of the kitchen staff personally. He would have interviewed them. He would have, brought them in himself. So I said, it's important that you help me with that. And you choose people that you've worked with before. So you have a rapport with them, and, you know that you can work with them and you're going to get on with them. So the kitchen staff, that's how we did most of the casting. But then the rest of the cast, I said to my casting director, Carolyn McLeod, who's incredible, I said, just get everybody to tape, give me a self-tape. All I want them to do is tell me a story about the worst or the best time that they've ever had in a restaurant whilst making a cup of coffee. Now, that sounds simple, right? But you'd be surprised the amount of actors that had rehearsed this story to within an inch of its life, and then they performed the story to the camera. And, a lot of people would be making this cup of coffee with no coffee or just an empty cup, That's not what I asked to do. I wanted it to be real and just tell me the story, simple. And so the people that, then we whittled it down, and we got, a bunch of people in to actually audition in person. And again, I didn't tell, they knew what characters they were coming into to audition for, but I never told, there was no script at that point. Well, there was a script, but I didn't want to give it to anybody at that point. I just said, look, come in and just be ready. So I had a friend of mine who's an actor, who came in and sort of helped me out in the audition. So I would say to him, okay, so when they come in, I'm going to give them some things to do. Like, so I gave them some props, and I'd be like, oh, there's some, pots and pans, just do whatever. There's some food. I gave them some real food to chop or do whatever. I was like, just, you're in work, you've come into work, and, you're like half an hour late, but you just want to sneak in and try. And then my friend would then come in, and they didn't know he was going to be there. He would come in, and then he would start screaming at them and do whatever, throwing things about. And again, you'd be surprised the amount of actors that go, oh, I'm sorry, I wasn't expecting that. I didn't know that was going to happen. Can we do it again? And I'd be like, of course we can do it again, but now you know what's going to happen. So, so I just wanted people who were, vulnerable, but also like completely open and in the moment and sort of ready for anything. So once we, whittled it down again to the people, then we sort of like chose who's going to be right for it. And yeah, it was an amazing process. And like you say, yeah, we got some great performances out of some, the actors were phenomenal. So I'm really proud of them all.
Oh, you should be. And I just want to congratulate you because you were nominated for 11 British Independent Film Awards, and you tied Belfast. And
I know.
Belfast is out there right now. They have 11
I know.
nominations also, and you have 11 nominations. So that must make you feel super proud of this film and the achievement that you have done with this movie. So what was it like for you when you found out that you had been nominated for 11 British Independent Film Awards?
Oh, it was, I mean, I was completely shocked, you know, I just wasn't expecting it. We knew that we were on a sort of long list for 11 actually. And, you know, you think, okay, we're on the long list, but then when the nominations come out, we're going to, you know, we may get one or two. You know, that's what I was kind of expecting. Hopefully, I was hoping for one or two. And then I was sat watching, and then one, and then another one, and then there was like another one, and all 11 came in, and I was like, what on earth? I just, and I still can't believe it. You know, it's like the awards are actually in a couple of weeks, but I'm just like, yeah, it's just mind blowing, you know, and especially to be in the same sort of categories as like movies like Belfast, and some amazing talent, you know, people that I looked up to for years, and you know, to be in those same categories, even in the same sentence as those, you know, it's like,
Yeah.
yeah,
I
it's
mean,
crazy.
you're up for Best Director
You know,
against Kenneth Branagh.
I
So,
know,
I
I
mean,
know.
I mean, just to be in that rarefied air with him, it has to
Yeah,
be like,
exactly.
wow,
I know.
just pretty
He's
amazing on its
a
own.
he's an idol. He is.
Yes.
He's an idol.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, 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 yeah.
So
Eh,
yeah.
when are the awards and will they be broadcast in the States? Because I'd love to watch.
I'm sure you'll be able to get it. Yeah, I'm sure you'll be able to get it on like I'm sure
BBC?
the Biffa, yeah, possibly something like that. Yeah, they they're on the 5th of December.
Okay. All right. I'll look
Yeah,
for
5th of December.
I'll have to definitely look for them because I'll be rooting for you. I'll definitely be rooting for
Oh,
you and all of I mean, so Stephen Graham was nominated for Best Actor, Best Supporting
mhm.
Actor, Ray Pentaki, is that how you say his name?
Yes, that's right. That's perfect. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And Vanette Robinson, Best Supporting Actress, Breakthrough Performance, Lauren, I don't know how to say her last name,
A Jufo.
Adufo. Okay. And just,
Yeah, yeah.
it just goes on and on and on. Best Sound. Some of these, yeah, so, I mean, that's amazing in itself, but didn't a lot of this wasn't it improvised? Didn't you do a lot of improvisation with this film? I mean, you had a script,
Yeah,
but you allowed the
yeah.
actors to you go ahead and tell me what you did.
Well, yeah, yeah. I mean, so we, James Cummings and I, who wrote it together, we wrote the script. You know, the stage directions were really extensive, and there was, you know, everything was in there, and we wrote the script from the camera's point of view, so it would like say things like, and then we move over here with this character, and then it ends up over here, and so then with the dialogue we had, it was just bullet points in the script as to what needed to be said and when, um, you know, like loosely, and then we got the actors in and we workshopped the script. So as we're doing all of the moves, and you know, the camera's there as well, we workshopped the dialogue. So the dialogue was coming from them, and then we wrote the dialogue in the script as it was being said. But then, you know, I said to the actors, when we do this, when we shoot it, I don't want you to be tied down to the dialogue. You know, obviously you know what needs to be said and where the conversation needs to go, but just whatever happens happens. Just the most important thing for me is actors listening to each other and reacting naturally. Like I was an actor for 25 years, and I studied Meisner, the Sanford Meisner technique, which, you know, is an incredible technique, and actually I brought it into directing as well, because it you know, you can sort of, that's how I like my actors to work, is to listen to each other. And I think, you know, when a lot of actors, when they learn a script, they get bogged down with the words, and then they start to do inflections, and it starts to become this like this rhythm that they do it in, and then if you ask them to change it, they can't, because it's stuck in here, and they're stuck in their head. as opposed to being stuck here and having the feeling. And so that's what I wanted to get from all the actors. So yeah, the script was pretty solid, but I also wanted it to be quite loose for the actors to be able to play, you know, and feel it, you know.
You know that you're 100% right. It's about listening and then reacting, because you don't always know what the other actor's going to throw at you, and if you preset it in your mind, it will ring out as a false,
Yeah.
a moment. You're not being real. It's not a real moment, and that's what comes through in this. I mean, there isn't one moment at all where it rings false at all. I mean, it
Oh,
just
that's
seems,
nice. Thank you.
I mean, it just rings true. I mean, Vanette Robinson. Oh my goodness.
Yeah, I know, right? She's something else.
She is.
She's a special talent.
Yeah, very much so. I mean, she just blows you away in this film. Well, sort of Stephen. They all do, but Stephen Graham. But she just,
Yeah.
because she had some really, tough scenes there.
I
To
know.
and gosh, she nailed it, and just was
Yeah.
so brilliant in what she did. It really is. It's just a great ensemble all the way along in this film. What You're the co-writer of this film. What
Hmm.
inspired you? I know you said you did the short film, but what inspired the short film, and why you decided to do a film about the restaurant industry?
Well, I like I said earlier, I was an actor for 25 years, but obviously I wasn't as successful as I'd like to have been. So therefore I had to make some money. So I started working in restaurants, in kitchens, and I started from the bottom. And I over 10 years I worked my way up to becoming a head chef in London, in the various different places. And I was a head chef for 2 years. And along the way, all that time, I'd seen a lot of ups and downs, and it was tough times. And so everything that's in the movie is based on something that I've witnessed or experienced. So it's all comes from a true place. Um, everything in the movie, even the end, which is heartbreaking to say, but yeah, it's
That was
yeah.
something that
So
happened. Yeah.
yeah.
And I think so many people have no idea really what goes on in the restaurant business, behind the scenes
No,
and what's happening. My younger brother started as a dishwasher when he was 15 and worked his way up
right,
in the business, and ended up owning 4 restaurants in Atlanta, Georgia,
right,
at one point. And so I saw firsthand, what it was like, for him. And his wife he also met his wife, and she was in the business too, and her father had been
right,
in the
right.
business. So it's kind of like that family thing. But boy, it's not an easy life. It really isn't. And kudos when you have a successful restaurant and can make everybody happy, because it's a tough one. It's a tough one.
Right, yeah. I mean, yeah, exactly. To make everybody happy is, you usually have to go through hell.
Yes. Yes.
you know.
So what you had become a head chef. What made you decide to go back into, did you go from there to directing, or did you go back to acting, or had you been acting all the way along?
Yeah, I'd been acting all the way along, yeah. And it was difficult to balance both, because when as you're getting further and further up the food chain in the restaurant industry, more and more responsibility becomes upon you, and you have to sort of choose. If you've got auditions to go to, you have to decide, oh, I can't go to the audition today because I've got this, I've got to look after the team or whatever. So it became difficult. And uh but I was still trying to do both, really. But even though I was passionate about working in kitchens and chefing, and I wouldn't have got to where I got to if I wasn't passionate. But everything was just pulling me back, and I'd always wanted to direct for many, many, many years, but never had the confidence to do so. I didn't believe in myself. I always thought, because I'm from a town in the UK called Liverpool, which is obviously famous for the Beatles and
Right.
and various other things, but it's, you know, people like me, this is how I was thinking. People like me, they don't become directors because directors are educated. They've been to film school. They know everything. They're really smart and, you know, articulate and things like that. And that's how I thought. So I thought I'll never become a director. And then something really horrific happened to me in my life. My mum passed away quite suddenly 5 years ago, and everything changed in my life, like everything. And I just thought, you know what, I'm going to give this a go. I'm going to give it a go. What have I got to lose? So I just jumped off the cliff, literally, you know, not literally, sorry, you know, I jumped off the cliff and just sort of, you know, thought, let's see. And actually, I'd spoken to Bart Rispoli, who produced Boiling Point, and my other stuff that I've done. I sort of said to him initially, I was like, I want to give this a go. Like, what can you recommend any good film schools that I should go to? And he said, dude, you've been in film school for all your adult life. You've been on sets. You know how it works, right? You know this, you know that, you know that, you know that. I was like, yeah. He's like, well, just, you don't need to go to film school. I was like, okay, yeah, maybe you're right. So I decided to make a short film. And as soon as I was on set, I was like, yeah, this feels great. So, you know, that's how it really, you sort of came about. It's just, you know, and I always say to everybody now, like, just go. If you've got a dream or a goal, you know, there's nothing stopping you apart from yourself.
We're our own worst enemies.
Yeah.
Even though it was tragic that your mom passed away, perhaps that, I mean, it sounds like that was the catalyst for you to
Yeah,
say, you know what, life is short. That may be one of the things you may have
absolutely.
said. Gotta go for it. This is my dream and my vision. I've got to go for it. I understand that completely because this show is the same thing for me. So I
Really? Right. Okay.
yeah, I can relate, and that's why I love what I do, talking to filmmakers, because we're all in the same boat. We're all, you know, going out there doing something that isn't easy to do. I mean, you know,
Right.
filmmaking
Right.
is very difficult to do, but, you know, following
Yeah.
your dreams, no matter what the dream is, can
Yeah.
be, you know, the road less traveled and difficult at
Exactly.
times. So I honor you for that, and you know, you've done a fabulous job, and then, as I said, to be nominated for 11 British Independent Film Awards on your first full length feature is just
Right.
phenomenal. It's really got to, your mom's over there, the other side, watching over and being your angel for you.
Oh, 100%. Yeah.
Definitely.
100%.
Yeah. But this,
Yeah.
just solidifies, I'm sure, for you that you were on the right path. That this, you know, to
Yeah.
get these kind of honors, um, it's 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 really phenomenal that you were able to achieve what you achieved in such a short period of time. And I've been so excited
Yeah.
for you in this film. Where
Thank
can
you.
people? You're welcome. You're welcome. Where can people see this movie, Philip?
So in the US, it's actually in selected theaters from tomorrow, I believe, and then it's going to be on video on demand from the 23rd of November. So next week. I think it's on Apple TV and places like that. Yeah.
Oh, wonderful, wonderful
So go
people.
and see it.
Yes, people really check out Boiling Point. What was the most difficult part of shooting this? Did you shoot this before pandemic, in between pandemic,
Oh,
during pandemic? What was the pandemic situation for you?
well, I tell you what, the pandemic situation was, well, put it this way, we shot it in March 2020,
You're
which was,
kidding.
no, I'm
Right
not.
at the
It's
beginning.
right at the beginning.
Wow.
And we, so we originally were going to give ourselves 4 nights to shoot it over. And we were going to do it twice per night, 90 minutes, have a break, 90 minutes, have a break, and then go home. So we're going to do 8 times in total. And then after the first night of the shoot, there'd been a lot of things on the news in the UK saying, oh, the country's going to go into lockdown, and everybody was like panicking. And actually, the producers came to me after the first night. They called me late in the night after, and said, look, tomorrow we're going to have to shut it down, because if we don't, we're going to get shut down by the government, because there's 150 people plus in one space, in one room, you know, there was no masks at that point. Nobody was wearing masks. We were told to maybe wash your hands, or so it was a case of you know, yeah, we just came in on the second day and just did it. And actually the take that we've used in the movie is the third take overall. So we only did it 4 times. So yeah, so the pandemic is it's got a lot to answer for, really, hasn't it?
Amazing, absolutely amazing. Well, I wish you much success with Boiling
Thank
Point.
you.
Everybody find this movie. It's a really great movie, and if anybody's ever eaten in a restaurant, which we all have, this will
Right.
give you a great behind the scenes of all the things that go on. Philip, thank you so much for being on the show. It's been my pleasure to have you here today.
Thank you so much, Jan. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you. If you have missed any of the Jan Price shows all about movies, you can check out thejanpriceshow.com, and all the shows are archived there, or you can listen wherever you listen to your favorite podcast, the iHeart Podcast Network, Apple, Spotify, you name it, we're on it. Also, you can follow us on Twitter and Instagram at The Jan Price Show, and please go to our YouTube channel and subscribe. Thank you all for listening.